Welcome to Movie Night with Johnny Cinema. I'm your host, Johnny Cinema. With me, as always, is my co-host, Tobe DePalma. And this week we have something a little bit different for you. We're going to do one of our patented At the Movies specials. But first, we're going to talk about a few things. Toby, we got kind of an event here going on locally. You and me are both big supporters of independent cinema. And this weekend is the May Day Film Festival.
Yeah, in Evansville, Indiana. This is actually something that we both have gone to for the past several years, off and on.
I believe I've been there the last 3 years. This will be my fourth time going. I'm a big fan of what they do down there. As I'm a independent filmmaker, and I think of any independent filmmaker, one of the favorite things is to actually get to see your film in a theater, and that's how this is. I've been to a lot of film festivals that's kind of in a conference area, and you got that kind of PowerPoint shitty screen with the projector and shitty audio.
It's like a business trip.
Like a business trip. It's kind of awful, and you're the only one in there. This is actually shown at the Showplace Cinema South on South Heron Street in Evansville, Indiana, and that's going to be taking place on Friday, May 20th, and that's going to start at 7:30. And it's going to go till 10 o'clock. And then it's also going to be Saturday, May 21st. And it's going to be from 10 o'clock all the way up to 10 o'clock at night. So a 12-hour span of just great independent films. There's a lot of good stuff playing there.
Yeah, actually a lot of stuff that I am a big fan of. I think we've actually seen a handful of the stuff that's going to be screening already.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's going to be 3 screens going in at once. There's going to be several blocks. Go over to their website at maydayfilmfestival.com to check out what's going on. Make it a weekend. Take the family out. There's going to be stuff there. There's going to be dramas. There's going to be comedies. There's going to be horror movies. A little bit of everything for everybody. And if you stick around until about 10 o'clock, they're going to do an award ceremony. There's going to be a director's panel, a women's in film panel. There's going to be a Q&A with some of the cast and crew of The Confession of Fred Krueger. And just it's a good time for anybody who's into the arts.
Yeah, and they've got a Hall of Fame that they do every year. They do a lot of different presentations, like you said, Q&A and director panels. There are also a lot of vendors that are set up in the lobby. You got like local artists, and I think sometimes they have musicians, filmmakers selling copies of their movies. Last year I think I saw some people walking around in different forms of cosplay. They make it a really cool event, and then you can kind of bounce around from theater to theater. You just go, you get your ticket, and then you're there for all of the events. They really kind of go out of their way to try to make it fun.
Yeah, and a couple of movies that I definitely want to check out when I'm there. If you're there, check me out. I'll be Johnny Cinema. I'll be walking around, in and out of different things. But I definitely want to check out Harvest Lake.
Yeah,
which
great movie.
Has some pretty good local talent in there. Kevin Roach. Jason Crow.
Yeah. We got Ellie Church. Tristan Risk,
who you guys may remember from American Mary. And so that's going to be a good one. There's a couple other good ones I really want to see. I think this is at least the Evansville debut for Wigged Out. I don't know if that has played here yet. So that's kind of a heartfelt movie. It's more of a one of those feel good type movies, I think.
Yeah, sort of like a very touching life story, for lack of a better way of putting it. But no, it looked really interesting. I'm really looking forward to seeing. Let's see, we got Margot and Miss Red. I'm a big fan of those. You got, again, features and shorts kind of all mixed into different blocks.
Yeah, and who doesn't want to see the rise of Mr. Clown with a K, which is probably going to steal the show. That's going to be my call right now for pick of the night. That's going to steal the show.
The rise of Mr. Clown? Okay, well, yeah, okay, I was excited about Margot and Miss Red and Harvest Lake, but clearly Clown's going to get this.
Rise of Mr. Clown is going to get my vote for Best Picture, Best Cinematography, Best Director, Best Acting, and if there's any other award.
Oh no, did you see that Confession of Fred Krueger? That Freddy Krueger was pretty on point.
Man, fuck fan films. Fan films are fucking... Right. Seriously, fan films is one step up of straight up piracy to me. They should be put on the same boat as people that steal movies.
Oh, I think that we just found our future topic for Johnny Cinema.
Fan films? Oh my god, fan films.
Fuck a bunch of fan films coming soon.
Like, seriously.
To a podcast
and you know what? If Robert Englund's not in it, then I'm not fucking watching it.
Exactly.
Seriously, Robert England. There's only one Fred Krueger, and if he's not in it, I don't even care about it.
Of course, there's only one Fred Krueger. Jackie Earl Haley. We all know that.
This thing was
But
probably made with a cell phone in a freaking shitty ass boiler room somewhere. It's not even a boiler room. It's like someone's basement that has pipes. And they're like, oh, it's a boiler room, and they probably put like spaghetti sauce on his face. It's like he was terribly burned. Yeah, I'm not gonna go to that one.
well, you're gonna. Then I guess you won't get to sit in on the Q&A with the cast and crew afterwards.
Mm-hmm. But there's gonna be a variety of things out there. So if you guys get a chance, head on down. It's gonna be in Evansville, Indiana, at the Southside Showplace Cinema. And
Yeah, and
check it out.
like you said, Showplace Cinema South on Hebron Avenue. Is there anything else you were looking forward to seeing there?
I've heard about
Random. I've heard good things about
yeah,
that one.
I've heard about that one. Remedy of a Killer. I've heard. I think I saw the trailer on that. It looks interesting. Looks like one of those almost noir style black and whites.
Yeah.
So that's always fun to see. A little bit of throwback there. I believe there's going to even be comedy there. Gavin Edmonds and Rachel Goldman are going to be
we got
doing
some stand up going on.
Yeah, they're going to be doing some stand up to kick the night off. So if you want to see some live entertainment, come down for that. Yeah. Go ahead and tailgate in the parking lot.
I'm on a pre-party.
You got a pre-party in the parking lot. Come looking for Johnny Cinema T-shirts, and if you can find me, I'll sell you some T-shirts. We get you on the show, maybe do some clips, and just kind of do a little live event from there.
Just be careful of how much you ask of Johnny, because he's been getting a little crazy with some of the merch that he's wanted to do. I heard about this recent trend he wanted to do with Johnny Cinema condoms. Do not buy one from this man. If he tries to sell you a condom, just say no.
Oh, just wait. I'm going to be hopped up on all kinds of Adderall and pills. I'm going to sell you something. I'm going to bring my A game. I'm going to take some Quaaludes. It's going to be crazy.
You'll end up on the news.
Oh, yeah. You better hope. Anyway.
Look for Johnny Cinema in his windowless van in the parking lot.
I will be there. But this week's show is we're actually going to do a little throwback. We haven't done this for a little bit. We're going to do At the Movies. And this past weekend, we actually got to go to the theater and see a movie that we had been talking about. We actually talked about on the show a couple months ago.
Yes, we did.
And we got an opportunity to see it. So that's what this week's show is going to be. So this week, we're going to go see Green Room.
Oh, and I'm so glad that we did. I've been waiting to see this thing for so fucking long.
So do yourself a favor, stick around and hear our review for Green Room. It runs about 30 minutes. And as always, if you guys would, go ahead and subscribe, comment, let us know what you want to hear. Let us know if there's a film you want us to go check out and review. And stick with us. And Christine Renee Frawley will be with us next week again. And thank you guys very much for the time. And we will see you at the movies. And welcome to Movie Night with Johnny Cinema with our special edition At the Movies. And this time, Tobe and I went to see Green Room. Now, Green Room was a film that we actually did a review for the trailer a few months ago, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, and I think we had Jeremy Saulnier as the director of the week, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he's fantastic. He did the fantastic film a few years ago, Blue Ruin, that I think we raved about. We were talking about how much we really liked it. But Green Room, I remember being excited about this trailer, but this was, and it doesn't happen that often, where this movie was better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I had really high expectations. I mean, you know how much I was nerding out over the trailer and just the tone and the look and the idea. It felt like a movie that was right up my alley, but as high as my expectations were, I got to say the movie exceeded them.
Yeah, it's the basis of the film now. There are going to be spoilers in this, so if you haven't seen the film, then you probably don't want to listen to this just yet. But so based on the plot, and you can get a lot of this from the trailer, we have a punk rock kind of underground band that they actually go out of their way and say they don't actually have any online presence. So they're just touring shows, and they're out on tour, and they're living show to show. And it starts out where they come into it and they meet a guy, and they actually stay at his house, and they're getting ready to have the show the next day, and they're doing an interview with him for his radio show that he has for his campus radio. And then they find out that he's lost the venue, so they're not going to actually be able to play. And they end up playing at what looks like a shitty diner where they make like $6 a piece for it.
In the middle of the day.
In the middle of the day, which pretty much fucks them. And they're not going to be able to, they're pretty upset about it. They're not going to be able to get home. They're like, how are we going to do this? And so what he does is he calls his cousin, who runs a club, or like works at a club, up in near Portland. You could assume by the foliage and everything, they're in the Oregon area, and so they get him a show there where they're guaranteed like $350, and they can go, actually make some money. So they decide to do that rather than trying to siphon gas, because it's kind of already said that they siphon gas. And before we get into that, I want to talk about how when we first meet this group, and I thought it was absolutely fantastic. They're all sleeping in the van, and then it kind of has this above shot, and you see the van is actually about 10 feet into a cornfield, because the night before the driver fell asleep and just ran into a cornfield.
Yeah, it was a really awesome way, I gotta say, to introduce these characters. You just kind of get an idea that they are burning the candle at both ends and struggling, with very little change in their pocket, so to speak, and the point that literally at the end of the night they just fall asleep at the wheel and crash into a field, and nobody knows until they wake up the next day.
That was my favorite. They're like, "What did you do?" He's like, "I don't know. I guess I fell asleep."
Yeah, it's like no one
has any idea what happened. But so they end up making it up to what ends up being a Nazi bar, like a skinhead type, like show. And they even mentioned, because they know that with Nazis and skinheads are kind of part of the punk rock scene in a way. They have their own sort of thing, and so they end up opening for this other band called Cowcatcher. And they have this little. It's a pretty shitty punk rock club, but like there's a lot of people there, and they go in the green room and set everything up, and then they go out and play their set. And right away, you can just kind of feel like they're not well liked.
No, well, also they just. I love how the Pat, played by Anton Yelchin, he's like, I got a really dumb idea. That probably didn't set them off to the best mood by doing a cover of a song that was sort of fuck you guys.
Yeah, it absolutely was. But I thought, I don't know much of his background as far, but he did pretty well as a punk rock singer.
Yeah, actually, no, I thought the actors that were the band were fantastic and like really believable. Like, I mean, I totally bought them as what was their band? Ain't Rights.
The Ain't Rights.
Yeah, Ain't Rights. That they felt like I remember going to underground shows or punk shows like back in the day, and like, okay, yeah, this feels like a band you would see. I mean, the way that they talked and moved and acted, like that, it didn't feel like the actors were acting, which I really appreciated.
Yeah, they did a fantastic job. So after they play their set, they go back, and the guy makes a big point as saying not to leave anything in the hallway, because the owner's real big on the fire code, which is kind of in a swastika, skinhead club. That was, to me, was kind of like interesting. I was like, really, of all things, the fire code.
He's a stickler for that rule.
Yeah, big deal. But I think you kind of find out later why he's so big on those types of rules. But when you find out what's actually under the club.
Yeah.
So I guess he wouldn't want people snooping around.
Yeah.
But
or combustible issues.
So after this show, they head back to the green room, but they all their stuff's in the hallway. And the guy's like, nope, we're good. We had to get you out of there. The other band needs it. And so they're grabbing their stuff and they're heading out. And the female, what is her character's name? Her character Sam, played by Ali
Shawkat.
Shawkat, yeah, that's right, Shawkat. It's
a cool ass name.
It's a cool ass last name. All right,
maybe
Shawkat.
From Arrested Development.
Maybe. I mean, if I don't know if we ever hooked up and got married, then I would take Shawkat.
Oh yeah, of course. Why would you have her change her name?
I would get rid of Cinema, and it would be Johnny Shawkat.
I like that.
I like it too.
There you
I think
go.
we should make this happen. Anyway, so she goes back.
Alia, give him a call.
She says, "Oh, they lost. Oh yeah." Her character Sam forgets her phone, but Pat turns around and goes and gets it for her, and he walks in, and there is the other band, but there's a dead body, and a girl's been stabbed in the head.
In the head.
Like, she's pretty fucking dead.
Yeah, it wasn't subtle. It was pretty much the most terrible thing that you could see on the other side of that door.
Yeah, so everyone's kind of forced to get into the green room, and they're closed off because now they were trying to keep them out of the situation so they know what's going on. So now they're stuck in the green room with everyone, and they're calling the cops. They're calling they grab the phone. He tries to call the cops, and they shut it off. But so chaos ensues.
Yeah, and here's the thing, like, you know, she plugs her phone into charge, and they establish that early on, like when you first meet the characters. You know, she in a cornfield, she looks at her phone, she's like fully charged. So then they get to the, you know, that's going to be sort of like a thing for her character. And as soon as she gets into the green room, she plugs it into charge. And then as soon as they come back and they see all their stuff in the hall, I was like, someone's going to go in for that phone and it's not going to be good. Like, it was just, I was kind of already at unease at that point.
Well, they also set up the idea that she's the only one that has a phone.
Yes.
Because they're so broke. That she makes the comment that she's like, I pay the bill. Like,
yeah, because someone else was doing something and she's like, who are you calling? He's like, what's it to you? She's like, well, I pay the bill.
Yeah, so she's the only one that has a phone, so that kind of takes away a lot of holes that might be in the plot as far as well as, you know, just why don't they all just call the police?
Which is always a big problem for me, and I know you and I have talked about that before, both in like, well, a lot in horror movies, but I really think in any kind of thriller, action, or, you know, a tense situation, film set in modern day, you're constantly fighting against the concept of technology because it's like everybody has a phone, everybody's constantly online messaging, texting, you know, tweeting on, you know, Snapchat, Facebook, whatever the hell. It's like you're so connected that the first time you see a character in trouble, it's not like the old movies where, you know, like cut the phone cord or get to a landline. It's just like, well, hang on, 30 people have already dialed.
Yeah.
And, you know, so like I love that they kind
dialed,
of minimalize and focus
that. It's done. You know, everyone knows.
They like really reined that in, and I think it fits with they're this poor traveling punk band. I thought that was a clever move, you know, and you know, even still, they got one 911 call off that had to be intercepted, but you're dealing with one situation as opposed to they all have a phone. Right,
and I thought it was pretty fantastic. And you find out right away that the owner of the club, which is played by Sir Patrick Stewart,
you're damn right,
who is fantastic as the leader of this Nazi cult.
Yeah,
he's very charming, but he's in no way planning on getting these people out alive.
Yeah, his portrayal of Darcy was his name was haunting and harrowing, but you know, like I love that it wasn't. I kind of went into this expecting it to be bigger. You know, I thought it was going to be a much bigger portrayal with a lot of scenery chewing, and it's not that he's super minimalist, but you know, it's very just cold and focused and honest, you know, to where like I just bought everything he was saying as the character. He didn't need to go big. Like there were several times that he would just say something and it was very simple, but what he was saying would kind of give you chills because you bought that this was a ruthless, violent, terrifying figure that inspired, you know, that inspired people through fear to do what he says.
Yeah, he was absolutely fantastic in it, and he didn't go big, which I think would have been what everyone expected, and I think that would have been, it would have made the character weaker, but the way he played it, he really put himself into this, which a lot of times when you hear a bigger name like that in an indie film, you're like, oh, he's going to phone this in, or maybe he'll have like 3 lines as a cameo, but he was in a good chunk of it. He was fantastic with the way he played it.
And seeing him play the villain was awesome. I mean, going from, you know, Captain Picard and, you know, Professor X and, you know, I mean, how many damn, you know, valiant characters has he played to, you know, a cold-ass, horrible neo-Nazi motherfucker.
Yeah.
It was just, I mean, it was great. And not a lot of, quote-unquote, good guys, you know, playing a bad guy. Like, it doesn't always work. Man, he owned the shit out of it.
Yeah, he did. He was really good. But I guess, like, basically they get caught in this room and they're trying to get out and they realize they're not going to get out alive, and it turns into this absolute battle to where at first Patrick Stewart's like, no guns, just blades, and our main character Anton he learns the hard way what happens when you stick your hand out a door, thinking
Oh.
that and I'm not gonna go see it because I'm not gonna.
Okay,
let this
I have a
out.
really strong stomach, but I'm not gonna lie. That sent off a pretty big cringe reaction for me. That was tough to look at
Yeah, ugh.
in a good
That was
way. I
pretty.
mean,
Yeah, it was fantastic effects. Whoever did the effects team, they did a fantastic job. Also, the cinematography was really good.
oh, it was
Like
beautiful. Like,
it was shot really well. The acting was really good. I don't want to I know we're doing spoilers, but I don't want to go too far into this because I want people to go see it. But it's a lot of cool things happen, and a lot of unexpected things that you wouldn't expect to happen.
would you say it would be fair to say, without specifying who, I think this movie is unafraid to off anyone at any potential moment.
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
gonna say, but like I remember at a certain point you're lulled into a sense of safety, and I'm gonna sidestep which scene and which character, but where you think, oh, okay, cool, they're gonna get them to somewhere, and then all of a sudden, boom, something happens,
Mhm.
and well, you're dead now, and then before you can blink, another character dies. Like this film is not. It lulls you into complacency, thinking you're watching like a stereotypical formulaic thriller, and oh, they're gonna get out or whatever. This movie does not care who it kills.
Yeah,
No one is safe.
And like they start out with blades, and then they move into using dogs. And I thought they had a very
Oh,
smart way to combat the dogs.
that
That
was
was kind of
awesome.
ingenious. So the dogs
And fits with the film very
yeah,
well.
absolutely. They used a mic and a PA system to get feedback because this dog's like chew it like kills the bass player because the bass player's gonna fucking die.
Yeah, we
Obviously.
can spoil that.
Yeah, I think we all know that if there's a band involved and there's deaths, we all know the bass player dies.
Yeah, sorry.
So anyway, so the dog has attacked him and killed him and basically ripped his throat out. But then he's going after this other girl who was stuck in there. There's another girl who's not with the band. This blonde who is along with the rest of them.
Yeah, played by Imogen Poots. She plays Amber.
She plays Amber, and I thought she did a really good job.
Oh yeah, she was great.
I thought there was going to be a twist with her being Patrick Stewart's daughter.
I could see how you would. Yeah, it could have gone there.
I was waiting for that, but it never happened, which I'm glad it didn't happen because I thought it would have been a little cliche, a little on the nose to do that.
Right.
But so she's getting attacked by the dog, and it's getting at her feet. But she just happens to knock the mic onto the monitor, and it just has this terrible feedback. The dog ends up letting go. So they use that kind of loud noise to combat the dogs. But the problem is that only helps them on the inside. So they're stuck in this. They keep going, end up back in the green room, hence the name Green Room.
Yeah.
And I just, I don't know. It's kind of interesting because there's absolutely no way out. They try to find a couple different ways. They they break through the floor.
That doesn't go so well.
It just no. But
I mean, I loved the sense of isolation that they're trapped in. They constantly are always back to square one by being stuck in that room, and it plays out like this really fantastic, urban, gritty, neo-Nazi siege film. You know, I mean, this is like sort of punk rock assault on Precinct 13 in a weird way.
no,
I mean, in my opinion,
right. You're absolutely right. But anyway, in the basement, they break through in one of the several times when they're trying to get out of there, and they find that it's actually like a heroin manufacturing area underneath. So there's no way out there. So which tells you again why this group is so dead set on not wanting the cops there, not wanting anyone to find out. Because they actually, which I thought was interesting, they actually did call the cops. Because when they call initially, they get the 911 call, but it gets hung up on.
Mm-hmm.
But they're going to call back, and anyone who's accidentally done that, the cops will end up coming just to make sure.
Right.
And so what they do is they pay these two kids $600 for one to stab the other in the side because they called in about a stabbing.
These two little skinhead wannabes, like, for the movement, take the fall for us. And actually, I thought that was kind of a brilliant storytelling move.
Oh, yeah.
For the sake of, because they'd already said, yeah, the guy got off, someone's been stabbed. And so when they took the phone back from the guy in the band, from Pat, who was making the call, he was like, the other guy was like, yeah, I was, you don't know what I'm talking about. I know you haven't seen it. But, why can't I talk tonight?
I don't know.
It's the caffeine. When they take the phone call over, he tells the cops, yeah, I called in about the stabbing. So the cops already know that a stabbing was involved in the call, and they have to deliver a stabbing. I love that they didn't shy away from it.
Yeah,
that was That was a really smart move.
You know, because any other film you would have said, "Oh, sorry, that was a prank call," or blah blah blah.
And I expected him to do that.
Which, even if it's a prank call, a lot of times the police will come out because they have to check it out.
Yeah.
But it was smart, and they had him sitting outside, and they had one kid already stabbed. Like, yep, that was me. I got stabbed, and so they show that, so it takes care of that little plot hole and ties it up real nice. But
yeah. And then Patrick Stewart's whole bit about how the reason that because they tell the band, well, the cops have already come and gone because the band is waiting for the cops, is that, well, the gun that you have, it's not registered, so if you could get rid of the gun, like you said, he wants to remove the guns from the situation. It's just, it was really, the script was really smart. Like how you get from one scene to the next, because you think about it, these people, the whole thing, it's kind of like the movie Panic Room. It's like, but in a better way, where your characters are trapped in a room, the people on the outside want in. There's only so much you can do, be like, because it's like, okay, either the barricade's going to be indestructible, or you're going to get that door down and everybody's going to try to murder each other. But it kept it moving, and it kept you guessing. It kept you on edge. Like, I was nervous for most of the movie. Like, especially when you realize that anyone could die at any given point. And that runtime flew by. I don't really feel like there was ever a lull or a moment of complacency, or like where you can kind of calm down and breathe and get bored. Like, I felt tense the entire time. Did you?
Yeah, absolutely. And the director, who was also the writer, I just felt like he wrote a rough outline of what he thought the movie should be, and then he tried to put holes and plots in his own, and try to shoot down ideas in his own story, and then he wrote around that to clear those up. That's what it felt like to me. Like he went through and he's like,
yeah,
all right, I'm going to take this. Okay, what's wrong with that? All right, we're going to fix it here. Okay, we're going to fix it here.
It's a fairly bulletproof script, I would say.
Yeah,
I mean, I can't claim it's perfect. I mean, I've only seen it one time, but I'm having trouble poking holes in any of the logic.
Well, and it's taking what is essentially, because every story's been told, but it's like you said, a revenge thriller, like stuck in a situation sort of film, but it's told in a way that I didn't feel it was cliche, and I thought it was fantastic, just the way they did it, and had some really good acting, some really great direction, good cinematography. Even sound design was good.
Oh yeah, no, the sound was great. One of the moments I loved was when they were playing their set at the Skinhead Bar, and you saw. Actually, there were two moments. Speaking of sound design, I loved. One was that, like, right after they played their first song and they go into their second set, when they were like, that one was a cover, and they pissed off the crowd, and they start to play the next one, and the crowd starts to kind of nod their head to the band, and then right as that song's getting started, it goes to like this really beautiful euphoric score set to these slow mo shots of the crowd moshing and like running into each other, and then them the band on stage playing, sweat and spit going everywhere, and the speakers fluctuating, and it was this really kind of beautiful moment, of really dingy, grungy imagery, and I thought that was an interesting juxtaposition. I also love how what was that earlier on when they first crash at the first where they play at the diner, when they crash at the guy's house and they put that first record on, and like as soon as it starts, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it cuts out right away and it cuts to the next morning. Like, you think you're going to go into, like, a party montage of them, like, just destructing everything. And when he enters the door.
Oh, yeah. He enters
that scene
the door.
Was great.
Because the guy who they're staying at his place, he leaves for work.
Mm-hmm.
Like, as soon as they get there. So they don't really have a lot of interactive time with him, which I guess that's really trusting on his behalf.
Oh, yeah.
But, so he has to let him in because he gave him the keys. And the one, Sam, or Pat, answers the door for him, and you don't see Pat. You just see him from behind, and he goes, huh. So, you fell asleep first, huh?
Yeah.
And then it's just a cut to him in the sink, like washing all the marker off his face because they drew all over his face when he fell asleep.
I thought that was so great. And come on, who hasn't been at a party where that's happened? So it's like, you're the first person to fall asleep at a party, you're getting a dig drawn on your face.
We did that to a kid who worked at Marathon, and he was on his way to work, and he had to be there that morning. He was running late, and he told us later he looked in the mirror and he goes, "All I saw were black penises all over my face."
That's awesome.
He's like, if I hadn't have just happened to look up, he goes, I'd have been at work like that.
Yeah, but see, the thing, one of the beautiful things about this movie is that there's so many great little character moments like that. Where but by the time that they're in danger, you've got a foundation for all these characters, and you care about them, and it's like we've got taken just a little bit of time, but enough time to get to know them. That these aren't just some kids in peril; these are
characters we care about that are in danger and we want to see survive. And like I gotta even talk about on the other side, Macon Blair, who played Gabe. It was kind of like, who sort of is wants to be get his red laces, to become an actual in the movement, to become a Nazi.
The Assassin's Crew.
Yeah,
they're just known as red laces, and they have red laces on their boots, which I guess means that they have. I guess that's your badge of honor to say that you have murdered or you have killed.
Yeah, it's like it's like getting a tear tattooed on your cheek.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I thought it was a neat little add-on to add to the characters.
Because I haven't really followed what that means in that, but it's when Patrick Stewart was like red laces only. You're like, oh, okay, and then but Macon Blair is this character that sort of is trying to move up the ranks, and but he kind of has. I would argue they're all bad people, but he kind of has a kinder heart in a way. He's trying to be Switzerland because he's like, no, come on, no, don't shoot anybody, don't shoot them. We're gonna solve this. You guys, you're not being held. I love that line when he goes, no one's holding you here. You're just not leaving. Like when they're like, you can't hold us here. It's like, we're not holding you here, but you're not leaving. Where it's almost like a threat without being a threat. And he plays kind of both sides, but not in a manipulative way. I think that he's just doing the best he can to manage the situation, but also because he works for Patrick Stewart and he has to kind of do, or works for Darcy, has to do what he says. And Macon was he's worked with Jeremy before. I mean, he was the lead in Blue Ruin, and I loved seeing him go from that role to this role. I mean, he's just a very fantastic actor.
Yeah, he was absolutely fantastic. Everyone was. There are
no weak links.
Like, oh, this person was no good, but yeah,
good casting calls.
It was a good film. I mean, I don't have any real problems with it. I'll have to watch it again, but I'm really glad I went and saw it in the theater because this is probably one. I remember seeing the trailer and being, yeah, that looks good, but it not to the point where I'm like, I have to see this in theater.
Right.
I think it was more when I found out that it was the director of Blue Ruin, which is a fantastic film that I'm like, oh, I want to see how he follows that up. Mm-hmm. But I'm actually really glad I went and saw this in the theater because we went on a Saturday night at 8:00, and maybe 8 people in the theater?
Yeah, it was not very packed. Well, also, everyone is still seeing Civil War because it's the second weekend for that.
That's true.
Green Room, it's been slowly expanding, week to week in a few more theaters, and, I think that it definitely went wider this weekend. Saulnier has grown immensely as a filmmaker. I mean, I kind of remember back to, was it Murder Party? Was that one?
Yes.
Like, I love that, and I kind of kept an eye on him. Blue Ruin blew me away. He just keeps getting exponentially better. Like, I'm going to say this is his best film. I thought that it was really very smartly directed. Love what he did with it. And, guys, this is worth supporting. Get out and see it in a theater if you can. Yeah, of course, it's going to be on Blu-ray and VOD and everything in, a matter of months. But this is the kind of film that, a director that's really come up and, keeps making bigger, better films. This is something that, in my opinion, is definitely worth supporting and showing, studios that people are going to come out to see it. Now, yeah, there weren't a whole lot of people, but I don't. If you have the opportunity, you should go see it in the theater.
Fantastic film. He's a fantastic director, and so support him so he can get more people like Patrick Stewart in his movies. Not that anyone in his movie was bad. Everyone was good, but when you are trying to sell and take that next level, you do sometimes have to get those names to sprinkle throughout your cast just so people are, oh, I know that person.
And I just think that the storytelling that he does is good, it's solid, and it's exciting, and it feels fresh. And I want to see the next story he's going to tell, and I'd like him to be able to do that. So
absolutely. And I don't know. As far as it goes, I can't think of anything else I want to say right out about it. So,
what are you gonna rate this as?
Yeah, let's break down and go to the rating system. If I'm talking about as a thriller, it's 5 out of 5. If I kind of do categories for that, so if it's a thriller, it's 100% a 5 out of 5.
Yeah.
If I'm just going as a film, 4.5.
Fair enough. I'm not going to differentiate. For me, because I think I'd probably land either way. This is not to be hyperbolic and copy you, but it's a hard 5 out of 5 for me. Mm-hmm. I was very the fact that I love it as much as I did, with as much as I had built it up to be, speaks volumes to me. Like it not only met my expectations, which were high, it exceeded them. So I mean, I cannot wait to see it again. Hopefully again in the theater.
Yeah.
But this is one I'm going to enjoy watching on repeat.
Yeah, like I said before, the only thing that knocked it down from a 5 out of 5 for me overall would have been that one part where they do not shoot him in the back, where they probably should have.
Oh yeah, towards the end, which we talked about, which we can't really. That would be a little too spoilery to get towards because that's in the climax. But logic-wise, I get your point.
But it's also nice to see a film with a punk rock group that has a reference to the to Conan the Barbarian. Which I'm a big fan of.
And okay, I gotta say, if you've seen it, you know what we're talking about. That paintball speech that was kind of like fragmented.
Well, that's pretty fantastic.
That had heart to it, man. Like honestly, it was appropriate, and it hits you, man. Like it's weird because if you read that on paper, you're like, oh, okay. But the way that it was delivered, acting and
I like how it got broken up and then they went back to it.
Yeah,
like he's in the middle.
Like
of
you don't think they're gonna finish it. I mean, that was a good. I mean, like I said, just so many great character moments. But yeah, no, can't recommend it enough. Get out and see it.
Yeah. So anyway, this is it for our At the Movies special. We do these every once in a while. We haven't done this since The Witch, I think, which was back in February.
So this is our second one. Hopefully we do another one sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be something cool that we're going to want to check out and talk about it. But for Movie Night with Johnny Cinema, I am Johnny Cinema.
And I am Toby DePalma.
And we will see you at the movies.
All right. I can get you guys a solid gig. Matinee tomorrow, doors at 1, you guys are on at 3.
Gentlemen.
You're trapped. Things have gone south. It won't end well.
You can't keep us here, man. You gotta let us go.
We're not keeping you. You're just staying.
Shoot who is left. Let him bleed.
Get ready to run.
Here we go.
Careful now.
This will be over soon, gentlemen.